national security nightmare. Trump's Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth at the center of explosive scandal and a shocking series of events that have sent ripples through the highest levels of government. President Donald Trump's Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, has come under intense scrutiny following multiple missteps, reckless disclosures, and a scandal that has raised serious national security concerns. From the very moment Hegseth was sworn into office, his tenure has been marred by controversy. One of his first major blunders came in the wake of a tragic mid-air collision involving a passenger jet and a U.S. Army helicopter in Washington, D.C. Despite the Department of Defense's strict protocol that no information regarding deceased service members should be released until at least 24 hours after notifying the next of kin, Hegseth hastily disclosed details about the ranks of the 3 service members who perished in the crash. But that was not all. Hegseth also inadvertently revealed that the crew had been conducting a classified continuity of government training mission, a critical and highly secretive operation designed to prepare U.S. officials and military forces for an emergency scenario. This breach of protocol led to immediate backlash within the Pentagon, as officials scrambled to control the damage. Just weeks later, Hegseth embarked on his first major international trip as Secretary of Defense, attending a high-stakes NATO summit in Europe. However, instead of strengthening alliances, Hegseth left both U.S. allies and Washington officials stunned when he made an off-the-cuff remark suggesting that any peace deal in the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war would require Ukraine to relinquish significant portions of its territory and abandon its aspiration of joining NATO. The statement was met with fierce criticism from diplomatic and military experts who argued that he had single-handedly weakened Ukraine's bargaining position before any negotiations had even begun. When confronted with the backlash, Hegseth attempted to backtrack in a bizarre and convoluted defense, claiming that his remarks were somehow misattributed to him despite having been recorded as part of his official statements. If these early blunders weren't enough to cause concern about Hegseth's judgment, his latest and most damning scandal has cemented him as a national security liability. Reports surfaced that highly sensitive details about an upcoming U.S. military strike in Yemen were shared in a private signal messaging chat that inexplicably included a journalist. The Atlantic's Jeffrey Goldberg published the full text of the conversation, revealing that Hegseth and other senior Trump administration officials openly discussed precise targeting details, the types of weapons to be used, and even the exact timing of the strike's information that was classified at the highest levels. When pressed on the issue, Hegseth issued a defiant and, at times, incoherent response, insisting nobody was texting war plans, despite overwhelming evidence to the contrary. His attempt to dismiss concerns only fueled further outrage. Among the most vocal critics was Senator Tammy Duckworth, a combat veteran and sitting member of the Senate Armed Services Committee, who minced no words in her reaction. In an official statement, she declared, "Pete Hegseth is a *******ing liar. This is so clearly classified info he recklessly leaked that could have gotten our pilots killed. He needs to resign in disgrace immediately." Senator Duckworth elaborated on her position during a televised interview, pointing out the grave risks Hegseth's actions pose to U.S. military personnel. She underscored the recklessness of sharing operational details on an unsecured platform, emphasizing that if adversaries had gained access to the chat, American pilots could have been ambushed mid-mission. Moreover, she warned that such a breach could severely damage U.S. credibility with allies, who might think twice before sharing intelligence with an administration that cannot safeguard its own classified information. The scandal deepened as further revelations emerged about other high-ranking officials who were part of the chat. Among them were National Security Advisor Michael Waltz, who reportedly initiated the thread and added the journalist, as well as CIA Director Stephen Miller, who astonishingly revealed the name of an active intelligence officer within the same conversation. Also implicated were White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, and even the Secretary of Treasury an inexplicable participant in a military strategy discussion. The gravity of this breach has ignited calls for resignations across the board, with Senator Duckworth leading the charge. Every single person in that chat had a duty to stop this the moment it started. They should have immediately shut it down and moved the conversation to a secure government system. The fact that not one of them did is an absolute failure of duty. They should all lose their jobs, she declared. As investigations into the scandal continue, the implications are profound. Not only does this incident raise serious legal questions potentially involving violations of the Espionage Act and other national security laws, but it also underscores a deep-seated culture of carelessness and disregard for protocol within the Trump administration. If even the most sensitive military operations can be discussed so flippantly in a group chat including a journalist, what other secrets might have been compromised? The coming weeks will determine the fate of Pete Hegseth and his fellow officials implicated in this unprecedented breach. Will accountability be served? Or will this be yet another case of political maneuvering overshadowing the need for justice? One thing is certain: the American people and the world will be watching closely.